Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending this afternoon's virtual conference related to the procedural schedule in docket number 2021. I'm sorry, going to the old docket, 2023-15E. This is Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated's 2023 avoided cost proceeding. I'm Jocelyn Boyd. I'm employed by the Public Service Commission. I have some of my colleagues present in the commission's hearing room this afternoon. They are attorneys Sandra Moser and
I'm not sure if you hit the mute button or.
try again. How about that? Okay,
That's
can
much
everyone
better.
hear me
Thank
now? Wonderful. Okay, did you hear me introduce some of my colleagues? Did anyone hear me? Well, okay. I'm Jocelyn Boyd. Just in case you didn't hear that, I'm employed by the Public Service Commission. Some of my colleagues are in the hearing room with me this afternoon. They include Attorney Sandra Moser, Attorney Alicia Clausen, Commission Calendar Administrator Elise Wilson, live stream producer Melissa Purvis, and WebEx extraordinaire Jackie Knight. So our purpose for this afternoon's virtual conference is merely to review the procedural schedule in docket number 2023-490, 2023-15E, Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated's 2023 avoided cost proceeding. And we're particularly going to address the commission's instructions in Commission Order number 2023-490, where the commission directed the chief clerk or her designee to conduct a status conference with the parties for the purpose of amending the procedural schedule to provide the opportunity for the parties to respond or reply to the third-party consultant's report. The procedural schedule may include dates by which discovery, including depositions, must be completed, dates by which responsive testimony must be filed, and any other dates the chief clerk or her designee and the parties believe are needed to proceed with the hearing to receive the third-party consultant's report. Okay, so now let's find out who's participating this afternoon. Is there a representative for Dominion Energy South Carolina available?
And good morning, Jocelyn. I'm Chad Burgess, and with me today is Matthew Gissendanner and also Michael Anselmo, and together we are appearing on behalf of Dominion Energy South Carolina for the status conference.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Next, Carolina's Clean Energy Business Association.
Jocelyn, I'm Richard Witt. I'm here as attorney for SECIBA, but also appearing is John Burns for SECIBA, and he will provide the comments for SECIBA.
Thank you so much, Mr. Witt and Mr. Burns. The Office of Regulatory Staff.
Good afternoon, Ms. Boyd. This is Chris Huber with ORS, and I'm joined by Chad Torrey.
Good afternoon, Mr. Huber and Mr. Torrey, South Carolina Coastal Conservation League and the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy.
Yes, this is Kate Mixon on behalf of SACE and CCL, and Emma Clancy is also here with me.
Good afternoon, Ms. Mixon and Ms. Clancy. Then, South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. All right. Our consultant, London Economics International, LLC.
Yes, hi, this is Stella Miller from LEI.
Hi, Ms. Mueller. Are you representing London Economics International this afternoon?
Yes, I'm a senior consultant here at LEI, and I'll be.
Thank you, Ms. Mueller. Okay.
Thank you.
I don't think I've missed anyone. Okay. So everyone, I'm going to, we want to, of course, hear what you have to say, but I wanted to review the procedural schedule for 2021 and then show you what, using those same numbers, the numbers meaning the days in between particular events, applying those dates or number of days, I should say, to this current docket. So I used the schedule in the 2021 88E docket for Dominion Energy's avoided cost proceeding, and then tried to apply them to those same days between events to the 2023 docket. And then, of course, I'm sure someone probably has a proposal already, but I wanted you to show you what we came up with here. Well, not we, me. Ms. Purvis, would you, I don't want to place blame just in case there's something wrong with what I've done. Thank you, Ms. Purvis. Let me make it a little bit bigger.
I don't know about the rest of the council. That is about the most blurry document possible. I didn't know maybe it would be easier to share your screen, Jocelyn, so we can see the document itself rather than the, that's better.
Okay, what does that look like, everyone? Can you see? You
It's
can't.
quite blurry, especially the non-bold.
Okay, never mind. So you're going to have, this is what I can do. Let me write in one word that I missed, and then we will use the document camera. Thank you, Ms. Purvis. Okay, as I said, on my Word document, I included the word prior. On my hard copy, you will see the word prior written in. So anyway, this is the schedule that I think the commission used in the 2021 docket. The merits hearing, or the hearing where the company presented its case, occurred on August 18th, 2021. Then the consultant's report back in 2021, I think, was due September 16th. Discovery deadline was October 5th by 12 noon. And they were, of course, my calculation, between August 18th and September 16th, 29 days. 19 days between after September 16th to October 5th. Then there are 3 days here for the deadline or due date for the parties' responsive testimony or exhibits. And then finally, the testimony and cross-examination of the consultant and presentation of the parties' responsive testimony 3 days later on October 11th. This is the docket, and part of the current schedule, the hearing begins tomorrow morning, July 25th. And based on the documentation in the docket, the public information indicates that the consultant, London Economics International, will file its report on September 11th. And I counted 48 days from July 25th through September 11th. Using the same schedule, or the days from the prior schedule, meaning after the consultant's report was due on September 16th, there were 19 days later, the discovery deadline occurred. And then 3 days later, parties' responsive testimony and exhibits, and then finally the hearing in front of the commissioners. So I tried to apply the same schedule here and was not successful. Because as you can see, the discovery deadline, if I use the 19th day after the consultant's due date for its report, would be a Saturday. And then Friday the 29th, September 29th, would be the 18th day after the consultant's due date for its report. Of course, I think maybe the issue is the currently scheduled hearing date for testimony and cross-examination of the consultant, presentation of the parties' responsive testimony is currently October 3rd. But if I use the numbers above, we would have a deadline of October 2nd by noon, which is only not even one full day before the hearing begins on October 3rd. So for what it's worth, that's there. Now, does anyone want to present a schedule?
Yeah, Jocelyn, this is Michael Anselmo for the company. We ran into kind of the same issue you did. When ORS submitted their letter asking for this procedural schedule adjustment, we went through kind of the same exercise, and the company submitted a letter to all the parties on June 28th and filed it with the commission, setting forth a proposed schedule that tried to adhere as closely to those deltas that you just discussed, but put in terms of sort of the current calendar and where the weekends fall, etc. If you don't mind, I'll just share my screen for the group so they can have the, well, never had this come up, saying that this does not support sharing. So I'll just state them. Obviously, the fixed date of September 11th for when the commission directed the report to be filed was the trigger. And we built in a deadline of September 15th for the deadline for the parties to serve the discovery on the consultant. And then on the 27th of September, that would be the deadline for the third party consultant's responses to discovery. So that's 16 days rather than 19, but that is necessitated due to the fact that that date falls on a Friday, on a Wednesday. That would give the parties then a couple of 2 business days to draft their rebuttal testimony, which we then have due exactly like last year, 2021 of October 2nd for the rebuttal testimony deadline. And then obviously the hearing on October 3rd. So we talked about that with ORS at the time. They consented to that schedule and we filed the letter. So we adhered as closely as possible. And it's, just to summarize, new deadline on the parties of the 15th of September to get our discovery out so we can process the report on the 11th, get the discovery out. The 27th, the consultant responds, rebuttal testimony October 2nd, hearing October 3rd. Still not sure why I can't share. It's saying that the moderator won't let me, but I think y'all got the gist of what I'm saying.
Ms. Purvis, is it possible to try the desktop again? I have another, thank you.
But that was what the company proposed prior to the commission ruling at the last business meeting or 2 business meetings ago about this status conference. We think this works well. Happy to chat about it with the commission and the parties. Yeah, thanks. There they are. The 4 bullets right there, Jocelyn. Thank you.
Is anyone having problems seeing what's on the being displayed right now? Mr. Torrey, Mr. Huber, can you see clearly the proposed schedule?
I can't see that, Jocelyn, but I have the letter up on DMS.
Okay.
It is what I proposed orally is exactly what Jocelyn has on the screen and what I served and filed previously. And was that Jane?
Okay, Ms. Mixon and Ms. Clancy, can you see the information? I can also get a copy of this and place it on the document camera.
Yep, I'm able to see it, and if it helps anybody else, I just right-clicked on the commission's page and set it to move to stage, and that made it a little bit bigger, so it was easier to read.
Okay.
I will say from CCL's perspective, we don't have any objection to these dates.
Thank you. Mr. Witt and Mr. Burns, or Mr. Burns, I think I'm supposed to call on you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Jocelyn. This looks like given the constraints, this looks like as reasonable a time frame as can be put together.
Thank you. Mr. Huber and Mr. Torrey, I'll return to you. I think Mr. Anselmo represented that you're fine with the proposed schedule.
That's correct, Jocelyn. Mr. Anselmo and I spoke on this issue before he filed the letter. And again, I think this is about as good as we're going to get it.
Thank you so much. I think the only other person I need to ask, and that would be Ms. Mueller. Ms. Mueller, do you have any comments regarding this proposed schedule?
We're fine with this. No objections on our end.
All right. I just see where, okay, appears as if the deadline for rebuttal is still due October the 2nd.
Yeah, Jocelyn, that was a troublesome spot, but that really gives all the parties 2 business days, a Thursday, a Friday, and then obviously we can work through the weekend as need be just to be able to get the testimony drafted, reviewed, and filed. And that's after digesting the discovery responses we get from London Economics. It's a tough spot, but I think it would be very prejudicial if we had the parties had to file testimony less than 48 hours upon receipt of the discovery responses. That's going to be a big lift.
Okay, so I think it was in 21, the deadline was now there were a couple of days, the commission had a couple of days prior, but it was by noon. Is there any opposition to making that deadline by noon? Because I think the hearing will begin at 10 o'clock the following morning.
Yeah, no, Jocelyn, if we had till noon on Monday, that's perfectly reasonable in my opinion. I don't want to speak for anybody else.
Okay, so Dominion has spoken its position. Let's go now to Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns, how do you feel about the deadline on October 2nd being noon?
That makes sense to me.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Burns. And Mr. Torrey,
We're fine with noon, Jocelyn.
Miss Clancy, was that you, Miss Clancy, or was that Miss Mixon who spoke earlier?
This is Kate Mixon.
Miss Mixon.
Getting a little bit echo, so apologies for that. But noon is fine with us too.
Okay, give me a second, please, Miss Mixon. I think we can mute others. Okay. Okay, so Ms. Mixon, did you mute Ms. Mixon? Okay. Ms. Mixon stated no objection to noon. Jackie, would you unmute Ms. Mixon for a second? And then I'll ask you to mute her back.
Sorry, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Now I can.
I muted myself.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't talking.
Okay, no problem. I understood you to say you don't have a problem with noon on the 2nd.
That's correct.
Thank you so much. And then Ms. Mueller.
Yep, that's fine with us again.
Noon is fine. Did I miss anyone? I think I asked Dominion first. Okay. Miss Attorney Moser, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I don't.
Okay. What about you, Attorney Clausen?
Nothing.
Okay, wonderful. So it appears as if everyone, what we will do is use Dominion Energy's letter dated June 28, 2023. It's proposed procedural schedule that's posted in the docket under docket number 2023-15E. We will use the proposed schedule there. However, October 2nd, 2023, the deadline for the parties to file rebuttal testimony to the third-party consultant's report and testimony, it's repetitive, will be by 12 o'clock noon on October 2nd, 2023. Okay. Is there anything else, Mr. Anselmo?
Nothing from the company. Thank you.
Ms. Mueller, do you have anything else?
No, nothing. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Burns?
No, ma'am, we're good. Thank you.
Mr. Torrey?
Hey, Ms. Boyd, sorry, this is Chris Huber.
Oh, Ms. Huber.
Mr. Torrey still on or not? The only thing I'll mention, ORS and the company filed a stipulation this afternoon in the stock. I just want to confirm that the
Yes, sir.
aware that it had been filed probably about an hour ago.
Yes, sir. And Attorney Moser is aware of the stipulation. Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. Attorney Mixon, do you have anything else you need to tell us about related to the procedural schedule?
No, nothing else on our end. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank everybody for attending. And the commissioners will see you tomorrow morning. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.